It's new material now that's just coming out, however, this year in 2014 that we need to look at. Dr. Dan Brubaker just finished his thesis, his PhD, 2 months ago. And for the last 2 years, he has been going around the world looking at all the earliest manuscripts, and he looked at the 10 of the earliest manuscripts, and he did his research just on these 10 manuscripts. His research is going to be published next year. Intentional Changes in the Quran is the title of his research. You notice intentional changes. And what he has done, he has looked and he has gone to every one of the manuscripts and of the ones I've just referred to, and he's looked for these intentional changes, and he's found 6 different kinds of changes. He's found tapings, where they've put tapings over certain words, blocking it out. Patches that appear to be serving some other purpose than to repair the page itself, centering part of the text. He has found hundreds and hundreds of insertions. Here are some of the examples. I don't have enough, I could go up, because he's now found 800 of these corrections in these manuscripts, where you find an insertion, a post-production addition to the text, adding it to that which was originally there. He also found erasers, where they have actually erased part of the text, intentional removal of the text from the page. Hundreds he has found of these in the earliest manuscripts. Erasers with overwritten. They have erased it and then they wrote over top of it. Here are some examples here. These are all available. You can get them. I can give them to you if you want them. Overwriting without apparent erasers. They just overwrote with not even trying to erase it, just over top of the text that was already there. Hundreds that he has found. Selective coverings. Covering as a category of intentional change directly over the portions of the text. Selective coverings that are then overwritten. These are fascinating. These he's found tens and tens of them. He was expecting maybe to find 1 or 2 or 3. He found over 800, and those are just the ones he's published in his thesis. He's going to go back and find even more. These are interesting because this is not only they have covered it over, they've then written over top. We would like to take off the covering and see what is it they've censored. Because obviously these manuscripts, the earliest manuscripts, were not the same or are not the same as the Quran that we have today. Here's a case where there are multiple changes in just one page. Erasers, overwrittens, corrections. So what are his conclusions? When you look at the manuscripts between the 8th and 9th century, you can see, Dr. Brubaker says, that there's a movement of the Quran towards a standardized text that continues right up until the 9th century, right up until the 800s. Muhammad died in 632. So this continues for almost 200 years. Ooh. The canon, he suggests, is not 656 or Uthman's time. He suggests it's closer to the 9th century. The 800 changes, he found there were corrections removing or adding the long vowel, corrections by the original scribe, corrections demonstrate movement towards a standard. There were corrections sometimes targeted or selected to try to conform to the 1924 text, stylistic conformity to the page and the standard without any aesthetic concerns. And it goes on and on and on. I'm not going to go through the whole list of what he has done. You will be able to read it next year. Therefore, agreeing with Oltekulich, who says there is not one companion codice that he has reached us without corrections, nor is there one manuscript that is even near perfect match to the reported reading of any one of the companions. There can now be no doubt that all the extant manuscripts of the Quran have undergone some alteration, and that simple standardization of orthography or the technology of written Arabic is insufficient to explain every instance of this alteration. The material evidence in the form of manuscript presentations present, according to Brubaker, challenges to the traditional narrative, suggesting a process of standardization of written Qurans took place over a much longer period of time.